So, before I started my current job, I was an English teacher for 5 years at this Thai private school. It's a big school, like grade 1 to grade 12 with like thousands of students. I'm not gonna say its name because, well, you'll find out later. Anyway, at the end of my first year, I found out that every year a bunch of high school students go on a field trip to an army base near the Cambodian border. So for a few days, they live in the barracks and do like a mini boot camp type thing where they learn about guns and survival skills and stuff. And at the same time, a few English teachers also go to the army base to run a free English camp for the local kids. Nice giving back to the community type thing. So when they asked me if I wanted to volunteer, I jumped right on it. Partly because it's a nice thing to do, but also partly because I was curious about what the Thai army actually does, besides, overthrowing democratically elected governments. Anyway, turns out the point of this particular base is to stop people illegally crossing from Cambodia into Thailand. Fair enough. So we're there for a few days doing this English camp, and the kids are awesome and having lots of fun and everything's great, but that's not the point of this story. So during our free time, we just got to kind of wander around the base, and I got to shoot a gun on the shooting range, obviously, not like at a person. And while I was walking around the base, I noticed that there's lots of low-ranking army guys, like privates, and then a handful of mid-level guys, like sergeants. But then there's at least 10 high-ranking dudes. I don't know if they were generals or what, but these guys all had gold Rolexes, and everyone was showing them tons of respect. And I remember thinking, why does this base need so many general-looking guys? Wouldn't one be enough? Anyway, it turns out the head general is pretty good friends with the directors from our school, who also came on the trip. So the general invites all of us teachers to a party at his place. That night, we drive to his place and it's 20 minutes away from the base, driving on this empty road with jungle all around us. And we get to his place and it's behind these high walls and a fancy gate at the front. And we go in and this place is baller. It's like a compound with a huge house and a bunch of other buildings around it. So we go into one of the buildings and it's like a bar/restaurant. And there's this awesome spread of Thai food laid out and a bunch of alcohol, fancy stuff too, like Johnny Walker Black, that level, right? And there's a bunch of young, low-ranking army dudes serving us and basically catering the party. And I got the impression that this wasn't an unusual thing for them, catering the party at the general's place is just one of their regular duties. So we're eating and drinking and having a good time. And after that, the Thai teachers were singing karaoke, very wholesome, normal party. But at one point, all the female teachers left. And then this techno music starts playing, like the stuff they play during Songkran, and four go-go dancers come out of the back and start dancing on stage. And I'm like, this is the party you throw for a bunch of school teachers? What kind of parties are you having when it's just you guys? And at one point, the general starts talking to me, and I didn't speak much Thai at the time, still don't, but he said something along the lines of, "Ao pu ying mai?" And I was like, okay, cop. So then he walks over to one of the girls and says something to her and points at me. So she comes over and starts grinding on me. And part of me was kind of thinking, could I get my dick sucked courtesy of the Thai taxpayer right now? I mean, obviously I didn't do it, not just for moral reasons, but also because a bunch of directors from my school, including the guy who does the morning announcements, were sitting at the table right next to me, so it would have been awkward. So I started talking to the girl, and I realized she's not even Thai, she's Cambodian. So I'm thinking hey, General, I thought you guys were supposed to make sure Cambodians didn't get in. Obviously, you guys make some exceptions. So eventually, the dancing girls leave, and that was pretty much it. We drove back to the base in a van, and the school directors are just sitting there chatting with us like what just happened is totally normal. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you ever get invited to a party at a general's house, you should definitely go.